What I'd say is after 100 plus days of lockdowns, after endless announcements of the announcements, Aucklanders finally have some freedoms, a bit of more freedom. But what I'd say to you is it's quite obvious that there's not enough, and there's a lot more that the government could be doing. I think there's three big challenges here. The first and foremost is fundamentally, why is Auckland in a red light system? That is designed for when the country has an overwhelmed healthcare system. And by the Prime Minister's own admissions, she's saying that the healthcare system is fine. And fundamentally, we have some of the highest vaccination rates of any city around on planet Earth. And so the question here is, these businesses, which have been doing it tough for so long, and I had the fortunate privilege of going around 3 weeks ago with some colleagues to actually check in with these businesses, they're still operating under huge restrictions, and that's causing real challenges for them. The second thing I'd say is that fundamentally, why is it that we still cannot have people who have been vaccinated overseas recognised so that when they scan in with their vaccine passes, they can participate in the freedoms that we have here today? And finally, what this sector really needs, having been hurt and hammered for so long, is to have stimulatory activity happening. And we had a proposal which we've seen that's worked very well in New South Wales called the Dine and Discover vouchers. And we really want the government to adopt that idea. It's a proposal to the government. I get the job of opposition to it is to oppose and to propose. But we want them to take that idea and actually run with it, because that would get locals actually supporting their local eateries and getting them out and about. Frankly, a convoluted voucher system announced in 2 more weeks with Auckland Council and going to the zoo doesn't actually power up this hospitality sector. So again, it's another example of PR and spin. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this sector here is ready for Auckland to go straight to green, because if you follow the logic of the traffic light system, red is for when we have an overwhelmed healthcare system, orange obviously under some pressure, green fine. And that doesn't make it, there's just no logic to this traffic light system at all. And here today, these guys have been out of operation for over 100 days. They've got to get their staff back. They can't get their international backpackers who often staff these hospitalities. They're still under restrictions. They can't maximise their revenues. Auckland's going to empty out over summer, and many of these businesses, to be honest, are worried about going to the wall in January and February. Can't have a situation where you say, open the border, everyone off to the Bay of Islands for their holiday, businesses in the Bay of Islands well prepared, ready to go, and then the border actually being ambiguous as to what actually is happening. So you need clarity, make a decision, get alignment, and then either we're doing this or we're not doing this, and make a decision. Well, it makes no sense, frankly, the whole of the South Island being an orange. And that's our issue with the whole traffic light system. Again, it's another example of a government that's just doing things on the fly and making it up as it goes. And it's always Johnny come lately, right? It's always never quite thought through. Yesterday, I was in an airport and I had a couple that came up, Kiwis that live in Dubai. And they said, Chris, I've just done 7 days isolation. I've got another 3 to do in Tauranga. And up there, you have a pass that just is seamless, an app that just works. New Zealanders going to Dubai can get their vaccinations registered from New Zealand and put it on the app up there. So again, why haven't we just adopted the IT solution that exists in several other countries to make this thing work so seamlessly? Everything's just late. Everything just comes way too late enough as an afterthought. Well, frankly, we don't support the traffic light system. Our view is very clear that when we can get to a high level of double vaccination, we're good to go, and we have to open up the country and get going. We can do that safely with good precautions. But again, we haven't prepared the country. We had a good 2020, but we've had a really terrible 2021. And that's because the government has wasted the opportunity to get ready for it. If you think about it, ICU beds, Andrew Little's made an announcement today, but it's all too late. No extra ICU beds in 12, 15 months. Talked about rapid antigen testing, saliva testing. People have been banging on about it for a long time. Nothing's actually happening. It's going too slow. Well, look, again, we've got to be able to open the country up and get people moving. We've got programs in place where we've got good outreach with Māori Pacifica. We know that's been fantastic to see the progress that's been made in recent months. That's because the government initially started with a control and centralised approach and fundamentally didn't use local communities fast enough on the ground. That's starting to happen and that's starting to improve. But, we need to, we're in a place where we've got high levels of double vaccination. If we put some other management and procedures and protocols around it, we should be able to keep opening up. Well, many businesses have suffered in lockdown. This sector is a classic. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, well, there's a question about particular businesses, and I'll put it to you. There are some industries that have been really structurally challenged. Tourism, certainly hospitality. And I think there's a case for how we continue to support those businesses, particularly hospitality going into the first quarter of next year. Māori businesses, the same challenges. Well, look, we'll deal with that in the coming days. All I can tell you is, as I've said publicly, there's great roles for all 33 MPs within our caucus lineup. We have an amazing talent and a group of people. We have to get the right people hooked up to the right challenge and take it to the government. But I think, come Monday, I'd encourage you, take our lineup and put it up against the governments and say, who do you want to be the minister?